All right, so I'm going to call to order our April 16, 2020 work session. And due to the current public health emergency, the governor's stay-at-home order as set forth in the executive order 20-03-30-1, in the sincere desire of the mayor and the town council to protect the public health, safety, and welfare to the maximum extent possible, the general public may not enter town hall. Therefore, this meeting of the town council will proceed virtually as permitted under the Maryland Open Meetings Act. The public is invited and encouraged to attend the meeting remotely by, they can either log in or make a phone call in. And Stacy, roll call, please.
Oh, I don't usually do that for the work session.
You know what? Well, you're right. We don't need to.
I have it all written down for my minutes.
All right. We usually don't do the pledge, do we?
No.
All right. Let's just, all right, we'll adjust next. All right. We'll move right to public comments. I don't think there's anybody on, Paul.
I do not see anyone else other than town staff and council members.
Yep, and this pertains to the public, not our staff or our council. But the Town of North Beach welcomes public comment. Please state your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Give it a second. We're starting right on time, so let's give it a minute. We did also ask for public comments to be emailed in.
Yes, we did, and I received none.
Received none. All right, well, let's go ahead and go right to the business. Discussion on the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget. This is the general fund only. Next week, as you know, we have another work session, and that's going to be focusing on capital improvements in water and sewer. So tonight's discussion is general fund. We've had this for a couple weeks now. So do we have any questions? And real quick, before everybody jumps on this, how are we going to handle this, Stacy? You want to go by order again?
We could do a raise a hand this time. It's just us one here.
Okay.
It looks like, 1 second real quick. Looks like Joanne's having some technical difficulty here. Give me a second, see if I can get her set up with something else. Because I assume she's going to be pretty important in this conversation.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab a couple notes. I'll be right back.
All right. I see Joe.
Yes, she's on. She's sharing her screen, but she doesn't seem to have any audio either direction. So I'm going to see if she can call in on her phone, and then that should hopefully give us that.
Is that going to make some noise?
I don't think so, since it doesn't look like she's having the ability to talk either.
By the time we get a handle on this, the virus will be gone.
Oh, look at your beard, Greg.
Oh, y'all won't give him a hard time.
But he doesn't usually have one.
Maybe I just don't shave. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's about 2.5 weeks of growth. It's a little slow.
It's okay.
Okay. It'll speed up here soon.
You're going to grow it until the virus is gone? Is it one of those things?
You got it, Gwen.
There you go.
He's going to look like ZZ Top here before.
I hope not.
That won't happen, trust me.
I hope we see you clean shaven soon if you're going by the virus.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Let's hope so.
I see Dee Bowen's on here now. Lisa's on here. So Dawn's on here, Stacy, and then Council, and obviously Joe. She can always give us sign language.
Here's Joe.
I see Joe.
Yeah, I see her.
I don't see her.
So I think somebody just dialed in. Is that you, Joanne?
He's talking.
Me. Is that you, Joanne?
Hello.
Not me.
Hello. I hear you, Joe.
Yeah, that's her, 2546.
Sorry, guys, we'll get her.
Is
I can edit
everybody
the-
looking at the first page of the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Can you unmute Joanne's call in?
She should be, oh, wait, there we go. Okay, she should be unmuted.
Okay, good.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
All
so
right.
thank you, Joe.
So Joanne, just use your
Sorry
phone
about
to
that.
talk and hear, and then you can control the budget spreadsheet using your computer.
Bless you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. My apologies. I'm technically challenged.
We all are,
All
don't
right.
we? Except Paul.
Turn your volume up, please.
It was good to see everybody anyway. All right, so you want to start with the budget, and the
Yeah, we're gonna
reason
start-
we're having the work. Okay. Hello.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Where are we at in the process? Has the mayor already opened the meeting, or?
Yes. Yes, it's your turn. It's your turn to go.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yes.
Hello. All right, it's my favorite time of year, budget time. But anyway, the reason I wanted to meet with everyone is because I gave you a copy of the general fund and just the general fund. And if anyone had any questions, to get back to me regarding. There are 3 items that are in the general fund that are not resolved yet, but they'll need to be. And I'm not saying that's going to happen tonight, but what I'm saying, I'm planting the seeds in your head that you have to conclude them before, as we get closer. Because next week, what we'll be working on is the sewer and water and capital projects funds for the budget. And this all works up to the May work session and public hearings that we're going to have for the budget. So you have the budget. I've given you the notes. I'm sure everyone's had time to review with everything going on. And like I said, there's 3 items that are hot issues for me. And they are the trash bid, which you have, and you will be awarding soon. So that should clarify that issue. And then the other issue is RAR parking. RAR parking for the municipal lot, that amount is included in this budget that you received. But the reason I include it is not because you plan to do it, it's in case you do it. So I don't have to shift through my budget at the last moment and try to find that amount of money. The other issue, and the most important to me, is the sheriff's office. And if you've read the note that I've left you in the notes regarding that, that includes a 6% increase to our contract amount, which is part, I believe, of their union bargaining through the sheriff's office and the county. And then there is an application for an additional deputy that was brought before us. Now, I did not include the additional deputy in this budget that you received. And the reason I did not, because I think it's excessive. And I also believe that there's really no justification for it, but that's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. So I put the number in there for the 6%, which is reflected, but I did not include the $62,000 additional dollars it would cost you to have another deputy for the town of North Beach, shared with Chesapeake Beach. And that's 35% of the full number. So I guess what I'm doing here tonight is, if anyone has any specific questions that I need to look at for my general fund budget that is really, you need more information on, and also to get a feel from you on how you feel about that particular issue,
But the
so that I
sheriff's
can move on with the sheriff's office. Yeah.
Joanne, can you elaborate on that? I mean, when you say you don't think it's justified, this is like an additional, this is not continuing time that we have from an officer. This is an additional body.
Officer.
Yeah.
It's another body. We already have 24-hour coverage, and I'm not a policeman, so all I know is numbers. But when I look at those monthly reports that we receive, that are reported monthly, I do not see the crime and the numbers there that justify an additional deputy. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it different than you are. But this is what my reasoning is. But it's a large number, and I need someone to help me make a decision on what that's going to be and how it's going to impact the town.
Well, did they propose it based on their concerns, or where did this come from?
This came from, it was kind of convoluted how we received it. It came through the mayor, kind of off-candidly, I believe. Is that correct, Mayor?
So we were never approached about why they did it. We actually got it through a meeting with Holly, the town administrator for Chesapeake Beach, Mayor Mahoney, and T and Lieutenant Alton. And the justification is that with the increase of visitors, and the majority of it across the aisle, with the increase of homes being built, that they feel that it's time to bring on the new deputy because of that. Well,
Excuse me,
what's that?
excuse me, but where are we building homes? We're not increasing homes here. That sounds like they're the ones that need it in Chesapeake Beach, not us. So I just cut straight to the chase. It's
Me too,
nonsense.
Greg.
It's nonsense. We don't
Okay.
need it. That's my opinion. Sorry to cut you off, but it's a waste of our tax dollars. If
I
we
agree.
didn't solicit it, and I'm like Joanne, that's my first thought. The numbers don't show a significant increase in crime.
No.
So why are they pushing this on us? We don't need it. If they want one, they take on the additional cost themselves, and we maintain where we are with our percentage.
Well, they had, and maybe it's coming too from them having the expanded the rod and reel and visitors and gambling and that, you know what I mean? All those people.
Yeah, but we shouldn't pay for that.
Right. No, but I'm just saying that's one of the big, huge increase, and they're planning to build more stuff over there. But we still have the officer who's specifically dedicated to the drug issues. Right?
We still have Ricky.
Yeah.
In our town, and you know they and also the discussion again, I wasn't approached by other than that meeting, you know, so based off of what I took out of that meeting, the need is increasing in 20732, and Chesapeake Beach has already approved their portion in their budget. But I don't. It's $60-some thousand. We don't even know where that would come from to start with. Second of all,
what do you need from us?
well, I just need all you guys to give us, Joe and myself, direction on what do we do with that. There's 3 things that we have on here besides whatever y'all have. You know, parking lot, traffic bid that I have some information on for you, and then the sheriff department. So number 1 is sheriff. Where would y'all like to do with the increase of deputies? And please, if we just go in order, I don't know how we could do it. Whatever way we could do it in order.
Alphabetical order.
Sounds good.
Look at my list.
We always do it alphabetically, though. We should just switch that around sometimes.
All right. So the question on the table is, do you support or not support the additional deputy for the town of North Beach? Mr. Dotson.
I do not.
Ms. Hagan.
I do not.
Mr. Hummel.
No.
Ms. Lawton.
Not at this time.
Mrs. Shietta.
I would say not at this time. I would caveat that with, I mean, we need some other data justifying, unless they have something that they can bring forward that because Joanne, like you said, I mean, just off the top of my head with our reports, there's nothing that's jumped out that would seem to support it. So if they have some other data information they want to present to us, I'd be open to hearing that.
Okay.
Is that a yes or a no?
She
That's
said not
where
at
I
this
need more
time.
information. I need more information.
All right.
Paul?
Not at this time.
All right.
Okay.
I'll see if I can get more information. But right now we're moving forward with saying no.
No.
Yeah, before we move past that, I know they currently have one that just serves them. And normally in the past, and this was probably before Holly's time, they would come to us before they sort of passed their budget to find out. It's like, hey, we want to do this. Do you guys plan to help as well? I feel that happened the last time we increased the force. Now I know they're moving through and separating out their budget and adopting it early and piecemeal faster than the previous groups and terms have over there. So they might not know how they've done it in the past. So this may have caught, like this instance may be overlooked because they haven't done it in their new cycle.
Absolutely, Mickey. And that was, when I was in that meeting, you know, we kind of did a litmus test and think about which way it was going to go. And I'm surprised the 6% is something that, you know, it's coming down the food train. I mean, it's going to happen because of the situation. And I was surprised that they moved forward with it based off our conversation that day. So I'm not saying it's not needed one day, but we just can't haphazardly do it. And we got a lot of revenue not coming in 2021 right now. We already know. So, all right. Next, Joe. Which one next, Joe?
Let's talk about the parking is a different issue. It's really more a statement that I have it in there. You haven't made a decision. It is in there in case there is a decision later. So it's kind of protecting you, but I think that that's something that you'll need to hash out in executive session.
Yes.
And then come back to me regarding. I don't really think that's much of a vote as it is an acknowledgement that you need to address it in executive.
Stacy, add that to next month town council meeting
Okay.
for executive session.
So I just have a comment about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying and to a large degree agree with that. I would just ask that you not actually show it as a line item on there when we approve it, because then it would look like it's been approved and maybe it's earmarked somewhere else. And earmark's not the right word, but it's just if it's on there when we approve it, it looks like we approved it.
I appreciate what you're saying, Elizabeth, but that will not be a part of your final draft of the budget unless you tell me to.
Right.
Okay,
so
thank
it
you.
shows there now. This is just a draft. So we're a ways away from a final adoption of a budget.
Okay.
So you've got some time. I just need to show it there because it's such a large number, and this is no way in shape or form saying that it's ever going to hit the final document.
I guess the only other thought is that considering what's happening this year, it could be a non-issue till next year.
Yes, except for that we have a contract that expires June 30th. So
Yeah.
it may be a non-issue, but that contract will have to be renegotiated by June 30th, even if it's a non-issue. So
Okay.
next week when we meet, that'll be part of the conversation in that executive session so we can have plan A, B, and C.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
Joe.
So you guys need to take care of that. And then the last item is the trash, which I believe you're going to be taking care of soon, but you're working with Alyssa on some type of contract items. Is that true?
So just give everybody an update. Obviously, the RFP went out. 2 companies came in. We have one that will, to me, I think is a better contract than what we have currently because it is, no matter how much trash goes up, changes, or anything, our cost is going to remain the same versus what we have now is we have a monthly fee and then we have a tipping fee. So if we have a big month where there's a lot of tipping, our cost goes up that month. With this new contract, it's a flat fee. No matter if everybody throws away everything in their house, it's not going to cost any more. Having said that, there has been some concerns from council. So what I did was I sent it to Alyssa, which she's already received the first time. So it's not the first time she saw the RFP. It was issued to all of us. And I explained to her some of the concerns. I should have a response back from her in the next day or two, how to address some of your concerns. One of the concerns were if we're able to sit down and reevaluate the contract after 6 months or a year, and then season, it wasn't going the direction that we felt that our quality of service should be, there was an opportunity to make adjustments. So just so you know, our attorney has it. She's trying to come up with some ideas. And we will get it back, and I will get it back to you. But overall, the numbers are we don't change our costs to our residents. And what y'all need to decide too is, let's say we work out that one thing. Do you want to explore going to once a week versus twice a week? You've got to remember we have multiple bids there. It's once a week or twice a week. So y'all need to be thinking about that. I'm
Want
torn.
to discuss that now, or is that a later discussion?
It's a high number on here. Really, it's not a part of this budget conversation. We can bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah, let's do
But I
that.
just want to put it out there. Those are the three things that Joe and I have been talking about. Trash, sheriff, and the parking lot are the big ticket items that we need to figure out.
Is it possible to do the trash the way it is done now through the season and then only once a week through the winter, so through off season?
We didn't bid it like that.
You say that
We
again?
didn't, we did not do a bid like that.
Okay.
Because we really don't have any vacant homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is trash really less in the winter than it is in the, I mean, people eat about the same. They
Yeah,
might eat
Well,
more in
we
the
have more
winter,
people here.
Yeah,
but not in the houses, not in our residents.
right. So,
Our visitor trash goes up, but not the
Yep.
houses.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'll be an advocate because I'm a Chesapeake Beach resident. We only have trash pickup over here once a week, and you learn to adjust, because we did have it twice a week forever, and then it's changed a few years ago, and you learn to adjust.
And
Do
I
you like
think, I
it?
think I said to Mike,
Yeah,
if we do go
it's
to
fine.
once a week, I would be open to that, and we would just have to encourage people to recycle more. I mean, I feel like there's so much more that people actually can recycle, but it's just, they just throw it in the trash. But if it was
Yeah.
once a week and we did some education, people may increase their recycling and it would probably be fine.
Right, and we have recycle pickup over here once a week also. And we have 3 large recycle bins that are filled every week, because that's what we do.
I would actually like it better from the fact that it's, I mean, there's 3 days a week, there's some bin out front. I mean, that's, you know, just from
True.
just so many bins all the time, from that perspective as well. It'd be nice to have it just twice a week.
Yeah,
People would put them away then too.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Gwen. I think trash pickup once a week and recycle pickup once a week to help change some behavior, I think would be great.
I would agree with that as well. Plus, the cost savings is significant.
Yeah.
What was the amount? I can't remember. Does anybody know off the top of their head?
One thing I would interject is that
Everyone can-
something that we end up going with that you agree to, we're going to have to look at additional recycling bins, because one recycling bin is not going to cut it.
Nope.
Well, here's the thing. You may get more recycling and people may do that, but some people may already be maxed out. You may have people who have like 6 or 7 people in their household, and the trash they put out on Monday and Friday is about the same. So then you're going to double that up. So they're going to have more trash cans. Then we have issues in Burnt Oaks and we have issues in San Francisco where they have already trash can issues with keeping them out of sight in their apartment, somewhere where it can be picked up and contained. I have people across from me who is like a 4-person family, and there's always 3 or 4 trash cans worth of trash, whether it be Monday or Friday. And they're not always in a can. Sometimes they're just in a bag in the street. And then we're
Do they
looking at
recycle?
also, what?
Do they recycle?
They do. they have recycling in their can and then also more recycling around on recycle day.
Yep.
Well, I
The
would
other
say
thing
this
to
is,
look at as well, Joanne remembers when the town did trash
Right.
and how
I
we
do
had
too.
two
Yeah.
trucks and how 2 trucks made us able to do the whole town in a day,
Yeah.
doing the 2 pickups on Friday and Monday. But the Southern Maryland may or may not, and they may not be able to do just 1 pickup if the trash volume is the same, just pushed onto 1 day. So like you may see, we may say it's 1 day, but really it takes 2 days for them to do the town, just in sheer volume between picking it up and getting it down to the landfill and everything.
I would say this is something also, you guys remember a few years back when we were going to the recycle once a week, because it used to be every 2 weeks, remember? And we did a survey, or maybe it's survey or getting some public comment. People, it's kind of a personal issue, the whole trash thing. We may want to get some public input about it as well, before we just make a decision.
Yeah.
Whether it's a survey or a meeting or something, you know.
We have to do it before we renew this contract. This is contracts for 3 years.
Right.
Yeah, I think if maybe Dawn could put something together like she did for the water to educate people. The people that I talk to in town who doing this, the comments are, we've got more recycle than we have trash. Of course, they may be a little bit more conscious about that than other people aren't. This is probably water under the bridge. I was just going to say it anyway. So the sad thing is we didn't have this conversation to structure the contract, because then we could have structured the contract differently as far as base year and option years. So we could have had the feedback on the discussion. But anyway, it's water under the bridge. We'll just have to do our best and move forward.
I don't know that it's necessarily water under the bridge. I mean, is that something we can build into the contract's not done? We haven't even
Contract's
awarded
not
yet.
done.
If we wanted to
Okay,
put
well
in
then,
there,
okay, then we'll just have to wait and see what the lawyer says. But yeah,
She's
Well,
working on it.
My question is, when does the current contract expire?
July 1 or June 30th.
but is a new contract 3 years and one option year, or is it is that the structure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my comment was, if we'd had this discussion before, we could have structured the contract with 2-year base and two separate options.
but what I'm saying is, can we talk to Alyssa? Like, let's say for
Yeah,
this
we're
year,
doing
we
all
want to
that.
leave it as is, Mike, but let's say we decide, you know what, we really want to, we get input or however we do it. You know, if we feel like this year's too soon, could we change it next year? Can we build those options into the contract that we may want to go from twice a week to once a week?
I really don't know. The reason why we did 3, if for those that are contractors, which I was, you get a better price. The less years you have, the higher the price goes up.
You know, Mike, I get it. I get the low cost
Yes.
versus best value. All our discussion here is around best value. And yes, it's hard to measure if you don't have metrics. So
But maybe we could just ask Alyssa if does it have to be all or nothing, or do we have the option of building and changing that, like in year 2, if we decide, you know what, we just want once a week versus twice.
I can ask. I'll shoot her an email tonight.
Good to know, and then because that'll help us make the decision.
All right.
Also, remember when we went from recycling every other week to once a week, we also did bigger bins
Right.
instead of the
Yeah.
yellow tubs.
Yeah. It's worked well.
It did.
Well, we have a lot of, each question is bringing up another question. So what you need to do is over the next couple of days, get everything together. These are some great questions, but we need to figure out which direction. I'll talk to Alyssa tomorrow. Now, a lot of times your contract is based off of the RFP that goes out.
exactly.
But at the end of the day, let's not miss the big picture here. The residence cost is not going up.
Right.
You still have 2 trash pickups and 1 recycle plus all the bins. So at the end of the day, it is not a bad deal at all.
It's just a matter of
what we had. So if we can tweak it to make it a little better, it's still a victory. At the end of the day, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. This is still a good deal. Refuse is not going up for our residents, which is hard to say anymore.
Well, especially with the tipping fees in there too.
I know. So let me ask those questions to Alyssa. I'll shoot an email so she can get back to me, and then I'll update everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Joe, what else do you have?
Okay, Does anyone have any specific items that they need me to look at for them?
I have a question. On page
Yes.
3, the licenses, they just showed up on this year's proposed. Why did they get added for the tree removal, process server, and golf cart?
Let me get there, page 3. Mine's a little slow, I guess, because I'm sharing it with you guys. Hold on. The tree removal, what we found with the tree removal is with code enforcement, there's some trees in the alleyways that are borderline that need to be removed. And we ran into instances the last 2 years where we had to struggle and use part of Public Works' budget to try to remove some of those.
Okay, so this is for
But-
like services then.
Yes.
Okay,
They are, and for like hazardous abatement, when a tree is an issue, then we can remove it and then work out like some type of payment plan with the property owner or so forth and so on.
what about the golf cart one?
The golf cart, that's for the existing golf cart that we have. It's really not broken out by department. So what we've done this year is everything was falling under Public Works, even though it's not all Public Works. That's just where it has kind of always been. So we've broken out the expenses for maintenance and things for the golf cart that are going to be more geared towards code enforcement. And the same thing you'll see has occurred in the waterfront. So it'll be a reduction in the Public Works area budget, but an increase to these items that you see here.
Okay,
And then the process server is kind of self-explanatory, the hazard.
okay,
We
cool.
tried to
thank
break
you.
it out more for you.
How about anybody else?
I've got a couple, Joanne.
Yeah.
I'm curious, with any of our financed debt, I mean, with rates being so low, this is just a question. Is there anything that that we have debt on that we would want to consider refinancing?
I'll look at, I do have a debt schedule of when things will be paid off and their rates. You know, with municipal bonds, usually our rates are so
Right.
so low anyway.
Right.
I mean, we can look at it. And again, you have to look at the cost of the bond counsel and Davenport as far as the bid for the bonds restructuring. That gets quite expensive. So, and a lot of times it'll eat up what you
Right.
might have
let's say.
saved by doing it. But we'll look at it.
Yeah, I know, I get
the
it.
next-
I just wanted to raise the question since we're at historically low. I know we refied a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
I
we've
can't
done it
remember.
several years in a row.
Yeah, it was a ways back, and I didn't know what the rate. I just thought I didn't want to just overlook that if there was some savings there.
Well, I'll share with you the spreadsheet with the rates, and then it also gives when debt is term.
Great. Thank you.
Okay?
Okay, awesome. I was just curious. I don't know. I can't remember where I'm looking at the sheet here. There were a couple things that just real quick seemed really high, and I was just curious why. Like on the IT, Paul, maybe you made some recommendations. There was
Sure.
something on IT. I can't remember the amount. I just wrote down some notes.
51,000, I believe.
Yeah, and I
And
can't
we
remember
have
what
a
it was.
detail on it, Gwen. That accumulates a lot of different items. So there's a spreadsheet that shows you what those items are. It's not just IT tech.
Okay.
It's phones. It's everything related to IT.
Yeah, so we did that just to kind of lump everything together for easier management. So that includes the IT tech support, the phone system, all the internet access, all of the Zoom like you're seeing here. And I also threw, I think I'll have to go back over the spreadsheet. I think I put in $8,000 for upgrades throughout the town because there's infrastructure that's more than 10 years old at this point that just needs to be updated. So there's some money in there for updates as well.
Okay, but it's more lumped. That's why it just stood out to me as being like extra.
Yeah, there's like a half dozen or a dozen different things
Yeah.
in there that's covered.
So,
And Joanne, I'm curious, like on the accounting, I think it was like 20,000 in there. Is that, I was just curious, like what that actually pays for.
On the accounting,
Yeah.
it pays for the audit and the financials annually.
Okay. So the audit, it's expensive. Okay. And then, yeah, so outside accounting services.
Right.
And probably the software,
Right, and-
maybe.
Yeah, and that's required by the state, the testing that they have to do. They're here a week, 2 technicians for a week, CPAs for a week. And then, of course, it's putting the financials together. And Nancy also assists me in that.
Okay, so it's covering all their time for being here and everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, Gwen, one more thing about going back to the IT. Starting last year, what we did was I had Paul design or put in place a replacement schedule plus inventory all of our equipment with barcodes. And this way we have a replacement schedule for all the equipment for DPW, Town Hall, the waterfront, all the equipment that we have. Instead of running and letting it die, we actually have a replacement schedule in place now. So when you look at that overall budget, it includes the replacement schedule. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see all of it now. And so it was all spread out everywhere before.
Right.
Now what we have is now we're focused on moving stuff. You know, like last year we had to rebuild the center, the community, not the communication, but we got the new
Server room.
the new server room. We had to you know, there's so many things that needed to be updated because we were
We're showing the gaming revenue as 301,000, which is pretty much
Yeah.
unchanged. It seems like that number is going to go down considerably given the fact that casinos have been closed and are probably likely going to continue to be closed for months. I'm a little concerned about that number, keeping that number there, not perhaps decreasing it.
I am too. I'm waiting for this next quarter to receive the actual revenue, and that'll give me a 3 full quarters of revenue that I can look at. Then we'll make an adjustment because part of what's going to happen is you're going to be making reductions as we go through. Once we find out how long we're going to be closed, what that impact's going to be, because if you listen to the president this evening, individual states are apparently going to make that decision, and it's unknown at this point. So I realize that there's a change. There's also going to be a change to waterfront revenue as we move forward, but that also means there's going to be a change to expenses because we're not going to spend it if we don't have the people.
same thing with
So
HUR.
all these adjustments will occur.
Okay, so the idea is just to sort of adjust as we
As we learn.
as
As we
situation
get closer
develops.
and find out more information.
Okay.
So hard.
And that's why we're not gonna. It's not gonna be a whole 12 months. You know, we're not gonna go a whole year. We're gonna reconvene. I think Joe said what, October. Whatever.
Yeah, we need to meet again in October because they say, you know, this could come back in the fall. Who knows? I don't
Right.
know.
So we this will be a living document. Sadly.
I have one question about the sea nettle net. Are we going to put one up again?
We hope not to. We haven't put it up the last couple years and it's been fine.
Okay.
The
There was
fresh
money in
water
there
has
to buy
kept them
one.
out.
Right. There was money in there to buy one, Jane.
What?
There was money in there to buy one, right?
Yeah, there's money in there. We
There's
just
$6,000 to repair and hang. That
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
buy a free metal net. So
Okay,
we've been
perfect.
putting it in there. Maybe we might need it, but I think I've lost my screen, Paul. I apologize.
we
But
actually
anyway, we haven't used it.
right. We haven't used it in the one that we haven't used in 2 years. Waterfront staff has went through because we moved some stuff around over DPW and it's there. It's in good condition. There's some slight repairs needed. We hope we don't need it. And the fresh water coming down is what really drove them out. So
Okay. I just,
maybe what?
I
Yeah,
saw
no.
that-
Nope, good question.
There you
I
go.
love it. Who's got something else?
I have another one. I know I wasn't gonna come to this meeting with no questions, Joanne. You would have been
What do
so,
I know it.
you would have been
what do
so disappointed.
I would.
There was something on, just real quick, the property tax penalty thing. I think it's I think it was
Yes.
closer to the top.
Yes, it is.
Where is
First
that?
page,
$40,000.
$40-some thousand.
Okay,
I
but why
really,
the budget was based on 7,500? Why was the actual
7,500.
why was
Well,
the actual so different?
Well, we've talked about this in the past. You know how much I hate to balance my budget
Yeah.
on penalties and fines. So we have carried this 7,500 in the hopes and expectations that everyone would pay their taxes on time, but that's always not the case. But in reality, if you take the last few years, because the county just started having tax sale again, remember there was a few years they did not,
Mm-hmm.
we have been the beneficiaries of penalties, and these penalties add up to this number.
Right.
So based on some of the issues that we're going to have to reduce, I felt pressured to include that this year realistically.
Pressure.
Right.
As much as
Quite a
it's
bit of money.
disappointing.
I mean, that's quite a bit of money on
Yeah.
penalties.
I just don't want you guys to count on that money all the time.
Right. You don't really want that money. It's not necessarily
No,
a good
I
thing.
do, but I
You do,
don't.
but yeah,
I don't.
exactly. It's not a good
That's
sign.
not what we're about. We're about trying to help people, you know?
Right, exactly. Okay, but the actual was 42. That's interesting versus 75. How much was it last year? Do you remember?
No, it's around that. I want to say 38 off the top of my head like that.
Okay.
The average over
But I
3
could
years
look
is
for you.
40 grand.
It's 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put the 75 in there just to be conservative and not count on it.
Not so you wouldn't count it, so you wouldn't add your expenses up on
Right.
that and then it not come in. Think
Right,
about
exactly. Okay.
Makes sense.
that. Okay, are we good?
We are.
Because I got one more interesting fact for you. Now that I have learned to operate this this little piece of equipment, this is a fun fact. Let me see if I can do it. 1 second. Hold your breath.
Hold my breath.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There we go.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the crash of 2008, 2009, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Housing
there.
market. Remember, we were protected because our assessments didn't happen until right before that. Our assessments, when assessments were high.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to 2010, and I took our budget, our actuals, and our real property base that we get for our constant yield, and did a comparison. And you'll see that we're not where we were in 2010 yet. 2010, our accessible base was 265 million. We're just going to be at 260 if the constant yield is correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. I mean, you think about that over the 10 years, how we have managed, even though our assessment dropped that much.
Right.
So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little pat on the back for y'all.
Well, and for you too, Joanne.
Yes, well, my arm's sore from patting myself on the back.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Joe? And don't forget, you can reach out to her throughout the week, email, text, carrier pigeon, just get a hold of her.
This
And
is
by the
good.
way, she became a new grandmother a couple weeks ago.
Yes, the grandbaby.
Congratulations.
My son had his first granddaughter, yes, grandchild.
So April 23rd at 7 p.m. is our next work session. Don't forget, we're going to focus on water and sewer and capital improvements.
Yes.
Hardly wait.
Yep. And
Thank you.
as
Yes.
of right now, it looks like May will also be Zoom meetings. Hopefully it changes, but as of right now, it looks like Zoom meeting is going to be throughout the month of May too. So,
My doctor thinks we'll be lucky to be able to meet in June.
right. So we will keep you posted on items. Things are still rocking and rolling. So, but we're here for the work session. So if we have no other conversation, no other questions for Joe, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So move.
Second.
Second. All right. All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
So
you.
moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
See y'all later.